Hello and welcome to another manga spotlight, and this is I Became an Evolving Space Monster. I say manga spotlight, but it probably should be manhwa spotlight since this is a South Korean comic and not a Japanese manga. So because this is South Korean, this is in long strip format. For anyone who's unfamiliar with long strip format, basically instead of panels being horizontal, they're vertical. I'm not the biggest fan of long strip, to be honest. There have been a couple of them that I've read that I've enjoyed, but there's also been a lot of them that I've bypassed just because of that format itself. But yeah, this series was too interesting for me to pass up. So as I said before, I Became an Evolving Space Monster, and it is by, well, I have no idea how to pronounce that, so I'm not even going to try. And the best way to explain this would be our main character gets Isekai'd into a sci-fi world where he becomes a Xenomorph. So the little premise here: in the vast expanse of space, inside a cargo compartment made of cold metal, I couldn't help but acknowledge one thing. I had become an antagonistic extraterrestrial life form in an SF survival game. And so, yeah, we start off this series with basically a little bit of a lore dump. Not too much, but just enough for us to kind of get a basic understanding of what's going on. And that is that this world was based off of a sci-fi game that our main character played. It was a sci-fi survival game, which reminds me very much of Warhammer in the sense that you get to choose what race you want to be. One of the races is like space elves, for example. And then you got the humans, and you got other different types of like alien races and stuff. And no one is really good. Once again, kind of like Warhammer, there are no really good races. Even the humans are kind of evil. So it's pretty much just a survival game where everyone's out for their own race in a sense. And our main character was a huge fan of this video game series. And he would basically play as all different types of races. He would play as the metallic gremlins. And the metallic gremlins basically go around eating human spaceships. Kind of like the gremlins in our modern day folklore. There are other mutant monsters that slaughter enemies on the ground. There's one where you can become a hive mind leader and you basically, I guess, act like God and control creatures to conquer planets. He's played all the different type of nightmarish creatures, and there is only one race that he's really attached to, and that race is called the Amorph. The Amorph stands for Aggressive Space Morph, or UASM for short. He calls it the Amorph, as an aggressive morph, or maybe as an alien morph, kind of like Xenomorph. In fact, the manhwa straight up says that it's based on the creature from the movie Alien X. Which, yeah, just drop the X and there you go. And so this race straightened itself by genetic information of its victims. So it reminds me very much of, oh my god, what is the name of that manga series? Remonster, I think it's called, where the main character is a goblin. It's kind of like that in the sense that anything that the main character eats, he can gather traits. It's also kind of like, so I'm a spider, so what? In the sense that he gathers his powers or his abilities, he unlocks them, not through experience points, but by eating other creatures. And the Amorph is considered, like, at first it looks overpowered, but there's a huge early difficulty. Basically, Amorphs tend to get killed really quickly because they have no abilities to communicate or cooperate with other races. And so because of that, they're basically solo acts. They can't gather help from any allies. And they start off super, super weak. So their end game is super strong, but you have to be able to survive long enough to get to that point. And our main character is smart enough to have been able to complete the Amorph run and get the ending and all that stuff. So he kind of knows what he's doing. But when he starts off here, he awakens as a hatchling. So he kind of awakens almost like a face hugger. In fact, he even pretty much looks straight up like a face hugger. He looks like a cross between a sperm and a face hugger. And yeah, he basically just straight up realizes immediately that, oh, I'm an amorph. Well, There's no point in me worrying about that now. Let's eat. And I'm just kind of like, okay. That would be like my big nitpick with this is that there is no setup or build up to becoming the Amorph. By that, I mean our main character is just thrown right in as an Amorph and he just kind of accepts it way too quickly. And that's something that I've seen in a lot of isekai stories where they just kind of throw us right into it. And I don't know, maybe some people might like it because you're getting straight to the action. I kind of like the ones that kind of follow the hero's journey a little bit in the sense that you want to show your main character in the ordinary world. You want to show like how they were like before this huge change. So you show them in their, like if it's an isekai, you show them in their own world. You show them what their personality is like, who their friends are, or lack of friends, or whatever. Just so like we kind of get a sense for how they are as a character. And then you get the call to adventure, which is them getting Isekai'd. And that's when they get thrust into this new world where they're like a fish out of water and they have to try to learn everything as they go about trying to live out this new life that they have. That's kind of like the format that I would recommend. But I've seen some, this one included, where they just throw you right into it. So brief couple pages where they explain what the world of this survival game is like, and then they immediately throw you in as him being a hatchling Amorph, and he just kind of accepts it immediately. And we basically kind of just follow him as a hatchling. For anyone who's read So I'm a Spider, So What, it's pretty much like that with our main character, and I keep referring to him as main character because he is never given a name. That's what I mean by like we get super bare bones with this guy. We don't even know what his name is. We don't know what his name is. We don't know what he looks like as a human. We have no idea what he is other than he's a huge fan of this sci-fi space game. And he apparently has a thing for alien races since that's what he likes to play as all the time. It's pretty much like that series. So I'm a Spider, So What? In the sense that it's just him starting off as this sperm face hugger. I was going to say sperm hugger, but that just sounds weird. Yeah, he's like this spider-like alien creature, and he goes around trying to just gain basic abilities. So the first thing he does is he tries to quench his hunger by eating chocolates, and then he starts eating cockroaches. And as he eats the cockroaches, he develops wings. And so that's what I mean by like gaining abilities. So he is basically just trying to map out this spaceship. So once he sates his hunger on candy and cockroaches, he starts going around in the vents. And that's where he spends a lot of his time. Just going around the vents, making a nest, getting a layout for the land. We get little bits of lore dumps as he spies on people. Like we have this one girl, Kisaragi, who is the head researcher on this spaceship. And they're doing tests on alien creatures that they have in vats and tubes and stuff. And remember how I said that there are no good guys? Well, yeah, she's evil. There is one guy who like messed up on a research. And so what she did was she basically took out his brain, put it in a vat, and electrocutes him on a daily basis. So this guy's still alive, but he's just a brain in a tube that his only thing in life is to get electrocuted whenever she feels like it. The only thing she's nice to is her cat. So then our main character has to start discovering, okay, how am I going to pick off these humans one by one? Like right now, I'm kind of weak to fight against them. So he has to start getting his strength through other means. So he starts eating cockroaches. He starts eating spiders. From the spiders, he gains like a venom ability. As he keeps advancing, he gets acidic blood straight out of xenomorphs. And then he's like, okay, well, the only thing this girl, this researcher, is nice to is her cat. So if I can get rid of the cat, I can maybe gain some abilities from the cat. But I can also throw her off into this weird mindset where she's just going to start becoming even more aggressive. And when she becomes more aggressive, she's going to start getting on the wrong side of the people who are supposed to guard her, like the soldiers. Like there's already like a butting of heads between her and the guards. And now if I can put an even bigger wedge between them, I can get them to separate. And maybe I can pick them off one by one. And so as we read this story, he just starts killing people. obviously. He gets to a point where he's able to start killing people. And he's gaining abilities off of the people he's killed. He is strategizing how he can continue picking off people without getting caught. And of course, the humans at first aren't aware of his presence because he's doing a pretty good job when it comes to taking out these humans. So, for example, he takes out some humans in a morgue. And when he realizes that the next shift is coming over, he uses the chemicals in the morgue to start a fire to burn the bodies to make it seem like a human went and burned up the morgue. So now the soldiers are going to be looking for a human because no one's going to expect a alien to go around dropping chemicals to create a fire. So it's this whole thing where it kind of reminds me of almost like an alien version of Hitman, where he's setting up little pieces and puzzles and stuff to kind of lure his enemies into certain situations so that he can pounce on them, get them without anyone else noticing, gather their abilities, become stronger, and then just keep on trying to survive this. And then we get like a monkey wrench thrown in where we have space pirates are going to show up soon. And space pirates can be super tough. He has no idea what kind of pirates these are going to be. We have some people starting to believe that maybe there's an alien on board this ship. So things start getting more and more hectic the longer he's picking off these people. So things start off, I don't want to say they start off good at first because he's super weak at first, but he's super stealthy and no one is aware of his presence. As he gets stronger, though, more people become aware not of his presence, but of the fact that there's something here that's not human, and they don't know where he's at. But now they're trying to find him, and then things just kind of snowball from there. So the stronger he gets, the more tough the situation he winds up in. And I just like the fact that we're following this character that's it's like anytime when I read sci-fi stories like this, you always see it from the human's point of view. You never see it from the alien's point of view. So this is basically like if you ever wanted to see an alien movie or a xenomorph movie, but you wanted to see it from the xenomorph's point of view. You wanted them to be the main character and see how they go about things. So this is almost like a xenomorph slice of life. Kind of. And yeah, we just follow this character that's, again, straight up xenomorph as he goes around murdering humans on this spaceship. And just the kind of trouble that's and obstacles that he finds himself in because he needs to eat. And of course, the bigger he gets, he can't survive on cockroaches and spiders alone. So obviously he has to move on to humans. But the humans are going to notice. Like if cockroaches and spiders go missing, no one's going to care. No one's going to bat an eye. Once the humans start going missing, people are going to notice eventually. And once that notice happens, then things start picking up and it just gets pretty crazy. And the artwork is really good. I do enjoy the artwork. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of long strip formats. I never have been. It's just, to me, it's just, I don't know. Seeing like one giant panel per page is just kind of weird to me. I like seeing multiple panels on a page. That's the thing about long format, is that you're basically getting one, maybe two panels per page, and you're reading them vertically. So panel 1 will be up top, panel 2 will be down below, rather than side by side. So it can get some getting used to. And also just sometimes I feel like, since I'm reading this on my desktop, which is where I read most of my manga, it just, sometimes you can't really get the full image on screen. So you kind of have to scroll up and down to kind of get the full image. At least for me, that's been my experience. So yeah, not the biggest fan of long strip formats, but I'm willing to overlook that for this series because it's good. It's not like amazing writing or anything like that. Like I said, I have my problems with the main character, more in the sense that I feel like he kind of loses his humanity quickly. In fact, there's even a point where he's like eating humans and he's like, I should feel something, but I don't. Is there something wrong with me? Is this because I'm an amorph, or was I always like this even back when I was human? Well, we don't know because we don't really know anything about your human life. Yeah, I guess I kind of would have liked just a little bit more of that, of like this body horror struggle between being a human and having to do monstrous things to survive because you are now technically a monster, at least in the eyes of humans. Maybe something like that would have been kind of interesting. But no, this is just straight up. He wakes up, realizes he's an amorph, and just rolls with it, and he's completely fine, and he just has no qualms whatsoever about doing the things that he has to do. And if you enjoy that, then yeah, this might be a hero for you. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but with that said, I still really enjoy the hell out of this series. I think it's really interesting. Maybe it's the premise. The premise is just so cool and interesting to me that I'm willing to overlook the little small nitpicks that I have. And there's kind of small nitpicks. Like I said, there are just some little things that kind of bother me a bit, but not enough to ruin this series for me. This has been really good so far. Like, I've been enjoying it. It has 10 chapters at the time of this recording. I guess technically 11 since there is a chapter 0. And I didn't really go over chapter 0 because it kind of spoils things. So basically, chapter 0 starts off further than where the manhwa is. So yeah, chapter 0 starts off like almost in the middle of the story. And then chapter 1 starts at the beginning of the story. And where we're at now, we haven't caught up to chapter 0. So that's why I haven't really gone over chapter 0. If you don't want to be spoiled, then you can skip chapter 0. It's basically just kind of setting the premise, but it doesn't give you any like information that you need to know to understand the story. You can just jump immediately with chapter 1. But this is it's good so far. I've been entertained. If you ever wanted to see what the life of a xenomorph was like, here you go. So yeah, I'm kind of rambling at that point. There's I Became an Evolving Space Monster, a manhwa where we follow a hero who gets isekai'd into a space sci-fi world where he takes on the life of a xenomorph. And I'll leave a link in the description below, like always, to where you can read it yourself. But there you go. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. So what'd you guys think of that video? I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe, hit that bell for a notification, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't enjoy the video, thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next video is more to your liking. Feel free to check out the playlist that you guys see, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.